Josie and Christian, thank you for that and helping us to get inspired about the Place brand. Alan, as chair of the LEP, how important is the Place brand to you and the vision moving forward?
Yeah, the Place branding work that's gone on has been absolutely fantastic, and it's really important for us that we have a cohesive vision that everyone can buy into. It's almost irrelevant, the colours, the logos. You know, the most important thing is that we have a brand that everybody can buy into it and everybody can put their shoulder behind in using it. And that's the most important thing, that we have one voice and we all use it together and we use it loudly.
That's great. We've had loads of questions today that we haven't yet asked. So we have 10 minutes at the end of the day. I'm going to try and fire all the questions at you that we haven't yet asked anybody else. So
right, we'll see how we get on. Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Last time I asked, there were 13 questions still to ask. So we've got 10 minutes. You do the maths on how long you've got to talk, okay?
Yeah, we'll see how we go.
So it's your fault if we don't get through them, not mine. And now
That's fine. I'm used to being
much. Let's just get on with the questions.
I'm used to being blamed for everything.
Okay, first one. What about people who want jobs and have skills but can't get work? Maybe they've got an issue like autism or anxiety that influence their job interview, but have all the knowledge needed. What do you suggest there?
Yeah, thanks for that, Gemma. Great question. In business, obviously, we talk about diversity. Lots of people boil that down to gender or ethnic diversity, but you're absolutely right to call out neurodiversity as well. And the most enlightened employees do think about neurodiversity. I know in my business we do. And you're right that it should be raised as an issue and that everybody should think about diversity in all of its forms in the same way we've been taught to think about disabilities in all their forms. Diversity should be thought of in all of its forms, and people who are neurodiverse should be given the opportunities in the same way that anyone else should do so. In the digital space, it's much easier. People who have deep thinking skills are particularly valued in the digital sector, but you're right, we should make sure there's opportunity for everybody.
Great, thanks. Another one's come in. Stoke is low on many indicators of wealth and opportunity. What's being done practically to reskill people?
Yes, I think this question relates to the multiple indices of deprivation that are often talked about for Stoke-on-Trent. I think the key point is that as a LEP, we're focused on creating the right skills for people across the whole of the area. You'll have heard today that we are deeply connected to lots of the learning institutions. We're deeply connected to the public sector infrastructure that we have here. And it's about creating those opportunities. Again, you'll hear the message today is very upbeat. It's all about being positive. And if you kind of put all that together, that's about creating the right atmosphere, the right attitude, so that all of our partners can work together to create the right opportunities for skills. To be specific about that question, we have done a lot of data. So there are over 400 data points that we pulled together as part of our local industrial strategy to help us fine-tune what's required for the economy. And our skills advisory panel, which Liz chairs, has also gone even deeper into the skills agenda. So we do have that data, and we are working with partners to try and bring some interventions to life. Thanks,
Alan. We've talked about COVID a little bit through this day at different points, and we've talked about how COVID's impacted business. Here's a very specific question. COVID has been negative for employment, particularly opportunities for young people. How can the LEP help them to get their first step on the jobs ladder?
Yeah, so it's absolutely true that young people in the 16 to 24 age group are typically twice as impacted by the negative impacts of COVID as they are in any recession. From a LEP perspective, it's about making sure we land the national schemes really well around here. So we work very closely with DWP, with the rest of our partners to make sure that the Kickstart scheme lands well here. We've worked with the Chamber to make sure there's a lot of employers coming forward who can take apprentices. So it's absolutely about doing that. It's also about creating, as Liz said, it's about having a focus on satisfying work, because not everybody knows what they want to do at that age, but they're picking things that they enjoy, and that we're creating a pipeline of opportunity for people. So from a learning perspective, they can find education pathways that get them to where they need to be.
Okay, let's stay with the issue of skills. What intent is there to build on the world-class potential for digital services to match the output and digital skills from Staffordshire University?
Yeah, so for those who know me, my business background is in digital, and I'm very passionate about it, as is the rest of the LEP board. We are absolutely focused on the economy of the future and about how we transition to get there. There's lots of opportunities, so we're working really hard on pulling together a bid around 5G and how we can embed technology into everything we do around the area, and we can start to get growth from the 5G sector. A lot of the projects we funded through the Getting Building Fund are focused on embedding digital, And two that come to mind will be the gaming hub that we're looking at in Spodeworks, and also the Health Innovation Centre that's in Stafford, that Staffordshire University have built, which is around using digital in healthcare, for example.
That's amazing. Just staying again with the issue of young people, you talked about the 16 to 24s in that last response. Has there been any research done into what children and young people living in Staffordshire want in terms of opportunities? That's come from Lucy.
Yeah, so thanks for that question, Lucy. So again, as part of our Skills Advisory Panel, we've run an in-depth set of research to understand that, and also it's about matching the job opportunities that are available here as well. And the real answer is, what do people want, and if and guiding them to things that are things that can happen here, but then also looking at the business outlook and how we can shape the business outlook to make sure that they're creating opportunities for people as well. So it's a two-sided question, and we've done a lot of work through our data and also through the SAP to get both halves of the answer.
Okay. Here's a very, very specific question, Alan. Should the Potteries be a World Heritage Site? Would this help with getting the city and wider area better known and increase funding for development?
Absolutely no idea. So I don't know I don't know how hard it is to get something registered as a World Heritage Site. I'm not sure what the benefits are. More than happy that we go and look at it and understand. If this is something that will take 20 years worth of paperwork and we get a marginal benefit, then possibly not. If it's a reasonable amount of paperwork and it raises profile and it gets benefit, then probably that's something we'll look at doing. But we'll go and look at that. Thanks for the idea.
I always think the Potteries is a World Heritage Site anyway, whether it's named it or not. But there we go.
It's certainly world leading and one of the best places in the world to be.
Absolutely. We're seeing more tenders being awarded to companies out of the area. Are there any plans to support local businesses more to steer and guide on this?
So that's come from an anonymous person, but you may have been reading our board minutes for the last SSLEP board meeting. So we are focused very much on social value and how, as a LEP, we can make sure that the funds that we have access to, that we defray in this area, have an impact. We've now got a social value policy, and we're looking at how we bring that into life to make it actionable and how it's actioned locally around here. But absolutely, that's what we intend. I think the key thing is that when you're buying things and you're buying the things on behalf of the public sector, we still need to buy the best. We need to buy the best at the best price. So just because you're local, we won't buy local if it's not as good as buying anything else. So we still need to buy the best, but we would prefer to buy the best locally. That's absolutely where I think everybody would want us to be.
We're going to keep going. We've got a few more questions.
Cool.
And these are quick fire. You're doing really well answering these really quickly. We've talked about Brexit a couple of times, but one question's come in saying, please outline the benefits of Brexit for Stoke and Staffordshire.
And I think Jenny touched on this. So wherever your personal politics are, Brexit is all about identifying the market opportunities globally now. It's about becoming export and investment focused and understanding how you can trade internationally. And obviously there will be change. COVID has created change. Change creates opportunity. It's about being dynamic and spotting the opportunity.
Nice. One question came in about whether our focus will be on anything outside of Stoke and North Staff. The suggestion was, I guess, today perhaps have been a bit skewed to the north.
So we are the partnership for the whole of Stoke-on-Trent and Staffordshire. As we talked about earlier, our localities group is focused on every single area. So we have 18 seats on the board table, one each for the city, one each for the county, and then 4 for each of the districts. And the districts alternate, how we get all 8 represented. So we absolutely represent the whole thing, and we represent the whole area. And I can assure you that we talk about every single locality. And in my conversations, I speak to every chief exec and every leader across the area as well to make sure the LEP is being influenced and is reflecting the needs of the entire patch.
Okay. We're going to carry on with this bit of conversation, if that's okay. I reckon we may just go over 2:30, but we want to get through these questions that have come into us. So we'll keep going at this speed and see where we get to. Another question that's come in is, are there any plans to assist Staffordshire's deprived areas with targeted, accessible business startup support to help move from jobless to business creation?
So I think, deprivation occurs across the whole of England. It doesn't, you may see it more concentrated in particular areas, but it occurs across everywhere. And even in some of our wealthier districts, they still will have small pockets of deprivation. So those issues are typically horizontal in nature, rather than just specifically around a particular geography. We do have interventions we're working on. We are looking at business startups. We do think that is a real good opportunity to come out of the crisis, that we can create more businesses. Typically business in Staffordshire, we have a smaller number of startups than other areas typically, but our businesses are more likely to survive, and we have a higher survival rate once you get into multiple years old. So typically I think that means our people are quite cautious, but when they start a business, they do well, they stick with it, and it does well. So yes, we are thinking about it.
Okay. In the light of the pandemic and virtual working, do you think the new T-level standards should drop the requirement for placements in a physical workplace?
Again, not an expert in the education space and even less of an expert in T-levels. Absolutely no idea. More than happy to take that back and work with the team to understand what we think is right. Yeah. If it makes sense, I'm sure we'll try and advocate for it, but I have no idea what's the right answer.
So if people have got questions after this kind of session, how do they kind of get those questions to you in the LEP? How does that happen?
Yeah, so we're on every kind of social media channel you'd look for. So you can either hit me up at Alan Rogers, spelled ALUNROGERS, or you can hit up the LEP at Stoke-on-Trent. And, if you know somebody, go through them. But, all routes will get to us eventually, and everybody's prepared and wants to help you.
That's great. A couple more questions as we begin to conclude. What about the abundance of the fibre optic trunk networks passing through Staffordshire and having the absolute best data centre potential in Europe?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. This is a really good location. We are centrally located. My other favourite little fact I heard the other day, this is one of the only places in Britain, or the only place on the west coast of Britain, where you can leave Stoke-on-Trent and drive in any direction and get to the other end of the country without burning up your taco as a lorry driver. That's how good our geography is. We absolutely understand the opportunity around digital. Again, my business background is coming through there. But we are also looking at building up a 5G program to look at how we can leverage the fibre that's in the ground that's been put in Stoke-on-Trent with VX Fibre, and how we can leverage that and take that across the rest of the county so that we can have the best connected county in Britain.
Someone sent in a question that says, interested to hear an interest in MMC. Is this in developing homes and or manufacture of these units locally?
So this comes from a conversation, or I'm not sure, but Abby and I were talking about this recently, and neither of us are experts in this space, but we're talking our localities and place group about housing. We think that there are some particular opportunities around MMC. So one is about personalisation of housing units, so people can get something that's what they want. We think modernising the construction sector may be really helpful and help us to create a focus around high-value jobs here. And then also around particular types of MMC, there are particular energy benefits, so less energy consumption and that kind of stuff. So those are the angles we're looking at. If someone's got better angles or think any of those are red herrings, then please feel free to let me know. But that's what we're looking at, and we're working on it.
Final question from our kind of audience, and I'm guessing this may be linked to the place agenda. I'm not sure, but it's have the visuals been focus group tested with audiences? What was the response?
So these questions are always interesting. This will be from somebody who either loves the new branding or somebody who hates the new branding.
Absolutely.
Again,
Let's say they love it. Let's say they love it.
Well, I've got experience in marketing. The answer is you can't please everybody all of the time. The most important thing is that you have a really strong brand that everybody can get behind, whether they feel it, it's what it look, whether they feel they like the pictures or the swirls or whatever or not. The actual answer is that yes, they were tested with audiences. The actual answer is we did hire a brand specialist who worked for several months to build the story, build an audience, and then it was tested with people. And it was positively received because that's why we went with what we went with. But if that was from somebody who doesn't like it, okay, fair enough. But the reality is you can't please everyone all the time. You've got to go with a strong brand that everybody gets behind. It's the fact we have one is more important as to whether you like the swirls or not.
Thanks, Alan. I think we've tried to answer every question that's come into us today. So that's really helpful. Thank you for all your answers. Thank you for being willing to answer really quickly because we wanted to try and get through a lot of questions. We recognise there's a lot more behind all of those answers, and you could have spent a lot longer kind of unpacking those for us. But
well, also to thank everybody who's taken the time to ask questions and for the thought that went into them. So thank you.
Just as we begin to conclude today, is there one thing, as people begin to kind of switch off their computers or move on to another piece of work, is there one thing you want folk to carry with them from this day that we've shared together so far?
Well, hoping that they can pick up some of the enthusiasm and passion that I'm infected with every day working in the LEP. I'm hoping that they can see that we've got a really good team of people thinking about the right things for this area. We're pulling together the right plans. You can hear that our messages are getting better. We're thinking about how to lobby about the right things. We're making sure we're reflecting the needs of the area and the residents, but also then some of the other inspirational stories that come through the day. So again, Jenny Campbell's presentation, her conversation with you was excellent. I thought that was really inspiring. And again, right through to the branding thing, you know, we are being bold, we're setting a vision and we're getting on with it. I think that's really important. So, you know, be bold, get on with it, I think it would be my phrase for today.
I think the key phrase for me is, the key word for me is partnership. It's all about kind of building good partnerships, creating good relationships across, and knowing that there's someone there that can help you and support you and be with you and be there for you, I think is really important. We'll pick up on a lot more of that tomorrow as we continue. We've reached the end of today. We hope you've been inspired through all that's happened, and we look forward to sharing with you tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Do join us then. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day.